What is up, guys? NinjaNick333. We are back with another round of the Pokemon Trading Card Game League Cup at Flipside Gaming in Clifton Park, New York. We've got Xavier Stevens on the left with Gardevoir EX. This does have the Mewtwo V Union in it as well. And we have Nathan here on the right. Just like we saw in the last game, he is playing that Mew VMAX deck. He was on the left last round. He's on the right this time. These, I believe, were the only two undefeateds left in the tournament during round 3. So whoever wins this game is guaranteed the top 4 cut. There was a pretty low turnout for this cup, just because of how time constraint these league cups are. There are just so many that are happening, during the same days. So, people from New York City aren't traveling, multiple hours north to try to, play in the Albany and Saratoga counties of New York. We are a little bit further up in the state. So only 9 players in this tournament. So again, whoever wins this, guaranteed cut. Best of 1, so getting the first turn with the Gardevoir deck is super relevant here. You want to make sure you get as many Ralts into play as possible so that you can evolve those into Curlia turn 2 and then Gardevoir's turn 3. Mew is starting the Genesect, not your ideal starter, but you can work around it. And since he is going second, he cannot attack on the first turn. He is playing just the double turbo energy build. He is not playing the bad Fusion Strike Meloetta version, which I'm surprised became so popular recently. I don't know, sometimes I do like it better. It always feels better when I play it, but it's not good, unfortunately. So we are going to see, it looks like Nathan has a few cards upside down in his deck for some reason. So he is going through and fixing those. He is going first with this Feather Ball to search his deck for a Pokemon that has no retreat cost. So that is going to be a Mew V or a Mew VMAX. So pretty easy decision. You're going to go for the Mew V. He is also prize checking here too, you see. I love to see it. Making sure he knows any relevant cards that are in the prize cards. You definitely want to know your double turbo count, your Mew VMAX count are usually the 2 most important things in this deck to be aware of. Also the power tablets and the choice belts. And if you're playing any cleansing gloves, that's usually important to check for as well. I like to play the 1-1 split of the choice belt and the cleansing gloves because there is a lot of Gardevoir in the area. A lot of my friends do really love the Gardevoir deck, which is funny because it's one of my favorite Pokemon, but I don't like the deck that much. I think it's a little slow. I'm thinking Paldea Evolve is gonna bump it up a little bit, but for right now, it just feels off to me. So we are going to also Ultra Ball, getting rid of a Cramomatic and a Lost Vacuum to search our deck for a second Genesect. We're gonna attach that double turbo energy to the Mew. We have 3 Pokemon in play, so we can draw until we have 3 cards in our hand. We're going to have to waste a power tablet just to make sure we can draw more cards. But this first turn, getting to those battle VIP passes is super important. So we are going to see Nathan is putting the card. If you saw the last round, he did accidentally draw an extra card. So we want to make sure we're not drawing any extra cards this game because a double prize penalty against a Gardevoir deck could be very detrimental, especially if they have the Sky Seal Stone. You get a 2 prize penalty, and all they need to do is knock out 1 Mew VMAX, and they win. It gives them all the time in the world. So we do have the Battle VIP Pass, getting another couple Pokemon here, so we get an additional Genesect as well as a Mew VMAX. Oh, and I think the 2 of them are discussing how to draw cards. Because Nathan is hyper aware of what happened in the previous round, and I think for the rest of the tournament he's been very, very careful about not drawing an extra card. So he has 2 there, and he draws until he has 3 cards remaining. So Savi was just saying you should just draw them upside down and then put them all together in your hand. So yeah, that's what he's doing there. So he puts cards face down until there's 5 there. And yeah, that's definitely the way that I would prefer to see it done, just to make sure there is no mistake there. I do like to do it myself that way. So we do see a Battle VIP pass. Fun fact, I did play in a tournament last night, and it was another best of 1 tournament like this. It was a free win-a-box. They did stream it, so I didn't record myself. But there was an opening where I did draw 2 Battle VIP passes while I had 1 open bench space. So I failed the first one and then got 1 Pokemon off the second one. And me and my opponent are just like, oh, that's so rad. Just to burn it so that, you know, I can draw some extra cards. So gets the full setup here, has 3 Mew VMAXs. I do like to see the 3 Mew Vs. I do like to see the 3 Mew Vs against Gardevoir, because you can always Psychic Leap one of them into the deck to take a knockout, and then make it so there are no 3 prize Pokemon in play, and then you still have the 2 Mew Vs in play even after you shuffle the 1 VMAX in with the Psychic Leap. That way, if Savi were to play like Boss's Orders, he doesn't knock out your only Mew V in play. So the perfect setup against Gardevoir here. So we do see Savi does use his Mysterious Tail with Mew to search for an item card, gets a Kirlia off this level ball. He is going to want to find as many Kirlias as possible here. He does have a Research in hand as well as a Peonia. I mean, going for the Peonia is probably correct. He has searched his deck already, so he knows that there is... I think he's aware that a Mewtwo V Union piece is prized, but he does not find it off of this Peonia. So now he's going to have to find his Pal Pad to put his Peonia back in and do it again if he wants to access his Mewtwo V Union in this turn. If he looked through his deck and all the Mewtwo V Union pieces were within his hand and deck, I would say that the Research would have 100% have been the correct choice. So I think if you're Savi here, I think you could safely put the Drapion back in. So I think, what was that first card he put down? I think that first card he put down was the Clara. As well as a Psychic Energy. And he's thinking about a Battle VIP pass, which I'm not sure I would go with. Yeah, this is a really hard call. I think that, personally, I would actually put the Drapion in. Either that or the Zacian. So the Zacian there is fine. Okay, so we see Gardevoir, Basic Energy. I might be thinking about another game that I overlooked on him playing. So he does put Gardevoir, EX, Basic Energy, as well as the Zacian back into his prize card. So really only got 1 card out of his prize cards. I don't think that was the Psychic Energy. I think he had that already. So he's going to level ball for a second Kirlia here. So yeah, if the Mewtwo V Union is all in his deck, he definitely should have researched instead. But we do have that Drapion now, so we could always take a easy 3 prize turn. I'm not sure if Nathan's even going to be aware that that's a thing in Savi's deck. It's also fun because you are probably playing the Sky Seal Stone as well, so that makes it an even easier 4 prize knockout. So we do see a second double Turbo Energy is going to come down to the Mew V on the bench. You could have attached that to the active so that you could retreat this turn. And we're, again, discussing how to draw cards. I think we've gone over this enough at this point. So, anyway, he's got 6 cards in hand, so he can't really use a Genesect right now. He does have some cards that he can probably play out. Let's see. He can't play the Lost Vacuum. There's no tools or stadiums in play, but there is an Ultra Ball, so he can get rid of that Battle VIP pass pretty easily here. Or he could save that to use with the Cramomatic, but he could always use the Lost Vacuum with the Cramomatic instead, so really doesn't matter. One item card as well as the Penny being discarded. With that Ultra Ball, we're going to search our deck for any one Pokemon. That will be a Mew VMAX, I guarantee it. There it is. Evolving that first Mew V. We'll want to not put any more Mew VMAXs into play if we can pull that off. Again, just because of the fact you can Psychic Leap for a knockout on a Zacian or a Shining Arcana Gardevoir. We might still be discussing how to draw cards. So, we're going to play the Cramomatic here. We're going to get rid of that Lost Vacuum. We're going to flip a coin. And is it heads? Looks like it is. I can't tell because of the die is too dark. But we are going to search for, he just pulls it right out, an Escape Rope. I do like that because that is not only going to get the Genesect out of the active spot, but it is going to force up one of the Kirlias or the Ralts. I think the Ralts goes active. I think that's what I would choose. So we are going to play the Escape Rope here. Again, that's going to force most likely Ralts active. And the Mew VMAX will come up. Oh, Xavi's going to go for the Kirlia? Yeah, no, I think you go definitely for Ralts. Because then you don't need Rare Candy in order to evolve it this turn. Or to find another Kirlia. So he's going to use one Genesect. 1, 2, 3, 4. You only draw 5 cards. Plus the 1. We're going to play that Judge. Both players are going to shuffle their hands into their deck and draw a fresh 4 cards. Yeah, that gets the Drapion. I was trying to think if this helps Savi or not, but it doesn't. Because he does have Drapion Research in his hand, I believe. So he could have gotten a really easy knockout. He could have just promoted that Mew. Maybe use a Psychic Embrace if he could to get an energy on that Mew. Or he could just attach to it. Get that ability off and then just retreat into the Drapion and take a 3-prize knockout. So yeah, that would have been a beautiful turn for Xavier, but unfortunately, that Judge came down at the perfect time. So we are going to see a second Mew VMAX. I mean, it is fine to evolve it, but I wouldn't. We are going to draw 3 more cards with the next Genesect. We are going to attach a Forest Seal Stone to this next Genesect. We have not used our V-Star power. That deck box divider is his V-Star marker. The nice Mew one. It's kind of funny. It is going to draw 1 more off this last Genesect. And we are going to use Max Miracle, I would hope, in order to take the knockout. I would assume it's Max Miracle since there are 2 Mew VMAX in play. Of course, if you had a power tablet that you were able to play this turn, you could have used Psychic Leap instead, kept the Mew VMAX in your hand. And I think I would feel safe keeping the Mew VMAX in play this turn. But it's more for later in the game when you want a Psychic Leap. So we are going to attach for turn. We use the Worker to draw 3 cards. Unfortunately, it looks like we do not have our Gardevoir EX or our Drapion V yet. So we're going to be looking for those this turn. Looks like we're just going to find the Battle VIP Pass off the Mew. Not something... Oh, we do have the Drapion. We drew back into the Drapion. That's crazy. We are going to Forest Seal Stone it, so it looks like we're not going to take a 4-prize knockout here. But even a 3-prize knockout is still fine. This does usually play Pokemon Recovery. We do know that he has the Clara, so he could always just Clara the Drapion back and do it that way. That would be pretty nice to see. So So it does play that Pal Pad, shuffle in some supporters. We are going to research, get rid of that Battle Pass we just put into our hand, as well as a Mewtwo V Union piece. Always want to see those go to the discard pile so that you can assemble Exodia later in the game. Draws some supporters. Looks like we got a Fog Crystal. We're going to use the Fog Crystal to get a Psychic Energy. You could always use the concealed cards of the Radiant Greninja to discard that Psychic Energy and draw 2 more cards. So probably going to do that here. No reason not to. Puts more Psychic Energy in the discard pile. That helps you out a lot. He does have quite a few supporters in there. He also has a Stadium in case Nathan does put down a Path to the Peak. We will be able to see the replacement Stadium next turn. He could play it now. Make Nathan discard his Mew V or one of his Genesect Vs. But I think it's much better to hold on to it. Looks like we do draw into an Ultra Ball as well as a Psychic Energy, so we're going to discard a couple of cards here with that Ultra Ball, one being that Psychic Energy that, of course, we do want in the discard pile. We are going to be able to get our Gardevoir EX this turn. Now, do you play it? I think you do, because Mew has a hard time one-shotting a Gardevoir EX. That's why a lot of these Mew decks do play a Cleansing Gloves instead of the second choice belt these days. Looks like Nathan's just reading it just to make sure exactly how it works. Maybe being like, Path to Peak shuts this off, right? Yep, it's a Roblox Pokemon. I'm not sure what they're saying. I don't listen to... I do have their audio recorded, but I don't listen to it. I just listen to the same music you guys have in the background. God only knows these people talk about the craziest, heinous stuff while they're playing Pokemon. Sometimes. Not these guys. Other guys. Especially junior division players. My God, they have mouths. So we are just going to see the retreat into the Drapion V. We are going to be able to take the knockout. I think since you have the Drapion here, you have the Forest Seal Stone, you might as well use that now. Just because that Drapion is more than likely not living to see another day. Nathan's going to be looking for a Lost City, honestly, as opposed to a Path to the Peak here. Try to get rid of that Drapion forever. So here is the Forest Seal Stone. Looks like we are searching for... Was that a Ralts? That way he can put a Ralts down on his bench as soon as the Drapion is knocked out. I kind of like that. That's a pretty decent decision. Or no, his bench isn't full. For some reason, I thought his bench was full. He's just going to search for a Ralts to put down now. He has an Ultra Ball if he wants to put down another Ralts next turn. Or you could Ultra Ball for the Gardevoir now. I think it's fine. Oh, we see Temple of Sinnoh. So that's going to make it so Nathan's double colorless energies are only one colorless with no additional effect. So we'll be boosting the damage output of the Mew, but Nathan will need an additional colorless energy. So, I mean, either way, Nathan's really looking for his Lost City this turn. So Savi knows what his bottom 3 prize cards are. So he's taking his top 3 prize cards, knowing there's 2 Mewtwo V Union pieces in there. Keeping the Zacian Psychic Energy and Gardevoir EX in his prize cards. So this is why I like note-taking when you're playing a deck that can see your own prize cards. Just because you would be able to identify exactly which prize is where. Because if I were to play Peonia, I'd probably remember the 3 cards I put back, but I would not remember which order I put them back in. And if I were to take notes, I would definitely be able to remember the order. So we're going to Feather Ball here, search our deck for yet another Pokemon with free retreat. That's his second Feather Ball played, so he's definitely playing 2. I do prefer that. I wonder if he's playing Nest Ball at all, because I don't think I've seen a Nest Ball from him yet. Is he just playing Feather Balls? I kind of like that better. It feels a little bit more consistent, because you can play the Feather Balls even when you have a full bench, whereas the Nest Balls always get stuck in my hand. Or maybe the 2 Feather Balls, 1 Nest Ball. I do think I like that a little better. So Nathan does get the Path to the Peak, so he is able to replace that stadium, and goes for the Roxanne too. I think that I might have tried to wait to play the Path to the Peak until after the Roxanne, just in case I did not draw into the damage modifier that I needed in order to take the knockout. Oh, but actually he still has his Forest Seal Stone available to him, so it doesn't really matter. Does get the Choice Belt, so he does have everything he needs. He is going to be able to put that Choice Belt down. He can retreat into that Mew, right? Or no? Oh, he played a Power Tablet. Okay. So he Choice Belts the benched Mew VMAX, Power Tablets, and takes the knockout with the active. So if this Mew VMAX, I mean, does go down, the bench one is the one that has a Choice Belt, but also Savi wins. So more than likely, he's hoping that Savi maybe just hits with the Gardevoir EX or can't do it at all because of the Path to the Peak. Path to the Peak. Yeah, what was it? So I was saying the Lost City would have been better, but no, the Path to the Peak is better because Savi, again, if he just gets like a 9 energy Zacian, he would just win. So you need Path to the Peak to make sure that the Gardevoir EX cannot use its ability. So Savi is really going to be digging for the ability to have that replacement stadium. The Worker is in the deck, but he will not be able to play that this turn because he is going to be digging through his deck with that Research more than likely. It looks like he's got maybe at least 20 cards left in deck. He's already used one Refinement. He just searched for another Kirlia, and he has a Gardevoir in deck, so 7. He can see at least 11 cards. That's approximately half his deck, so it's about 50-50 odds he'll be able to get there. I like those odds. Oh, he's going to Refinement first. You know what? I think using Refinement first is correct. Because if you were to draw into the Worker, you could play that instead. So actually, I like that. That's not the play that I would have done, but that is more correct than what I would have done. So that does give Savi the option to play the Roxanne instead if he wants. That will limit Nathan's hand, but I think Nathan already has everything that he needs in play, just because he has that Choice Belt down on the Mew VMAX. So I think I would have gone for the Research instead, but Savi is going to go for the Roxanne. Yeah, I think definitely the Research was the correct choice. I mean, limiting your opponent's options while they have Path to the Peak in play is good, but I think I just like high roll it and try to get that stadium. This is giving you less odds to hit the stadium. Alright, looks like Savi does miss the stadium. He can afford to go one turn without seeing that stadium. He does redraw into the Research, so he's more than guaranteed. And he also has the Worker, so he is guaranteed to get out of the path next turn. All that he needs is a Zacian. Although, the problem here is that I think this version that plays the Mewtwo V Union only has one Zacian, and that is in his prize cards. He did put that back into there with the Peonia earlier in the game, so Savi is really going to have to go for the Mewtwo V Union. Does draw into both of those pieces, so he can research those into the discard pile, but Savi will only be able to hit 300 with Mewtwo V Union. That's its max damage output. So Savi's not going to be able to take all 3 prize cards on this next turn. He's going to hope that Nathan is not able to one-shot the Mewtwo V Union. So Cram-O-Matic getting rid of a Power Tablet. I think that's at least 2 Power Tablets that are gone, maybe 3. You know that the Choice Belt is already in play. Forest Seal Stone has not been used yet, though, so Nathan could always use that. Always important to remember whether or not you've used your Forest Seal Stone. I'm so used to using it like turn 1 and 2 that there was one game last night when I it's a little embarrassing. I missed by 30 damage to one-shot a Mew VMAX in the mirror because I did not use my Forest Seal Stone to get my last Power Tablet out of my deck. Completely forgot. I thought I had used it turn 1, but I did not. After I did the attack, in the middle of my opponent's turn, I noticed my V-Star marker was not flipped over, and I'm like, ah, crap. So gets rid of his own Path to the Peak with the Lost Vacuum, is able to draw a whole bunch of cards. So I think Savi, actually, in hindsight, the Roxanne was correct, because he wants to save that research for use with the Mewtwo V-Union pieces in his hand, and he drew exactly what he needed. He got research double Mewtwo V-Union off of his deck there with the Roxanne. So yeah, knowing that Zacian is prized, the Roxanne was actually more correct. But of course, that is going to get judged back into the deck, so Savi is not going to be able to do his research to discard the 2 Mewtwo V-Union pieces, and he is also not going to be able to play his worker. He will have to redraw into some of those things. So definitely needs an out to get rid of the next Path to the Peak that is likely going to be coming into play. I would hope that Nathan draws into the Path to the Peak at least. He needs that in play to make sure that Zacian and Mewtwo V-Union cannot get powered up. So looks like we're going to go for... Oh, that's not an item card. Cramomatic getting rid of a Nest Ball. So he does play a Nest Ball. Does flip Tails, it looks like. So not going to be able to search the deck for any more. He's only used 1 Genesect so far. He does have 2 cards in hand. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 cards altogether. Does get that next Path to the Peak, so he will be able to put that into play. He's already retreated out his Mew VMAX, so he is able to attack with the one that is currently in play. He will be able to take 1 prize card here, and he will go down to 2 remaining. Knocking out the Gardevoir might be a little hard. That would take 2 turns. So I don't know. Savi still has a pretty decent chance here, I think. If he sets up Mewtwo V-Union, uses Psysplosion, he can do 10 to each Mew VMAX, as well as to the other Mew V, and then he can just spread the other damage however he wants to the Genesects, and then he would be in range to be able to take the knockout. So he would only need 3 energy on the Mewtwo V-Union. He just drew 1 for turn, so he would be able to attach for turn, only put 40 damage on himself. That would be 310, 270 remaining HP. And I don't think that there's any way that Nathan would be able to hit that damage number. So the only problem is Savi needs to not only get rid of the Path to the Peak, but also find the Mewtwo V-Union pieces. So he's gotten rid of the Path to the Peak. He did play Collapse Stadium. That also gets rid of one of the Pokemon in play for Nathan. So he's going to choose to get rid of the Mew V. I think that's fine, because that way you can keep all of your Genesects in case you need to, like, you know, draw into a boss for game. You know, if Savi knocks out just one of the Mew VMAXs, that you lose the game. Although it does take away the Psychic Leap option. So I don't know. So the Level Ball comes out, gets the Kirlia. We do still have both Mewtwo V-Union pieces in the deck, so Savi is going to need to draw those and discard them in order to have a hope to win the game. But he does know exactly what his win condition is right now. What I would do if I were him is, I don't think, he hasn't played a draw supporter yet, right? So he could play Boss's Orders. He does have a Mewtwo V-Union piece now. He has to make sure that he also does not deck out. 4, 5 cards left, so he can only draw with Refinement. He can't use the Research. I think if you're Savi right now, you go for the Boss's Orders, you bring up one of the Genesects just to try to stall a turn. How many double turbos are we down? There's 1 in the discard, and there are 2 in play, so there is 1 double turbo left. That could always be in the prize cards, and as well as switching options. 2 escape rope, no switch cart, so he still has switch cart and 1 double turbo left. Looks like time must have just been called, because you see the finger wag, the metronome that that players do to signify how much time is left in the round. Time being called, so they only have 3 turns, so the current turn plus an additional 3 turns. So Savi is turn 0, Nathan will be turn 1, Savi will be turn 2, Nathan will be turn 3. So Savi has this turn and the next turn to win the game, which means he can't win the game, because he cannot assemble Mewtwo V-Union this turn. And again, he would have to Psy-Splosion and then whatever the other attack is called in order to win. He can't play the Research to discard the one that's in his hand now. So he's trying to go for the tie for sure. And as I said before, this is the correct play either way. So he is going to boss up the Genesect, try to stall a turn. There are 2 options that Nathan can draw into that will get him out of it, but you have to try for it anyway. You're also just feeding a 1-prizer into Nathan if he does get out of it. You could always try with another boss's orders again if you have any boss's orders remaining. I don't know if he would, though. So this is a really rough spot for Savi, and it's all because of that one judge. If Savi did not get judged out of the double Mewtwo V-Union Research hand, he probably would have won the game. So he would have drawn into a Psychic Energy more than likely. He could have attached that for turn, put 2 from the discard on with Gardevoir. Not be able to be one-shot because of all the resources that Nathan's already used. And then over the course of 2 turns, he would have been able to win the game. So yeah. And this is why the Mewtwo V-Union is the least popular version of Gardevoir. It draws even worse than normal. You only have the one Zacian. You can only even fit that in. You have to play Peonia. Sometimes you have to actually use it during your games in order to find the Mewtwo V-Union pieces. You have to draw into them. You have to discard them almost exclusively with Refinement sometimes. If they're just in your bottom 5 cards of the deck, like they are for Savi right now. Almost draws an extra card. Did sort of draw them upside down, so we were able to put that back. Nathan does have a switch, it looks like. Oh, I think they put the card that he drew extra on the bottom of the deck. But since he saw it, it just goes to the top of the deck. So we are going to play the switch. If you're Nathan, I think what you want to do... Do you want a boss here? I think you want a boss and path. So you would boss the Gardevoir and try to 2-shot it, because then you win if it doesn't move. But Savi does have the worker. So it could just retreat, and then you can't do that. So no, I think you just knock out a 1-prizer and then try to knock out another 1-prizer next turn. There is the last... there is the last double colorless energy, and he is going to use his Forest Seal Stone. Finally, he is going to search for the Roxanne and play it. Savi, of course, at 3 prize cards remaining, so that does allow him to play that. Shuffle his both players' hands into the deck. Savi's going to draw 2. Nathan's going to draw 6. So he's going to have a full hand, and Savi's under path now. So Savi's only out to get rid of the path is going to be the worker. And this does technically give Savi the option, the ability to potentially draw double Mewtwo V-Union pieces. But unfortunately, Savi, again, is going to be 1 turn too short of being able to set up that strategy to win. So I think if you're Savi, you're feeding him the Mew this turn, feed him the Gardevoir EX next turn, and hopefully he just doesn't have boss. If you were to still have your own Roxanne, you could play that. But I don't think that that's an option for him. Yeah, so Savi's only option here is to try to tie. So he is definitely going for the right play here. He is promoting the Gardevoir EX. He knows that cannot be one-shot. And if he had, honestly, if he had Worker in hand as well as another energy, he could have retreated this Gardevoir into Drapion and taken the knockout. Or no. He would need Clara. He would need Clara and Worker at the same time. Yeah, that doesn't work either. Yeah, this was just very unfortunate for Savi. That one judge really screwed him out of the game. So it'll come down to whether or not Nathan is able to find boss's orders on this next turn. I haven't been able to really see what is in his hand. Also, why is my screen like this? There we go. I apologize that that was like that the entire game. So Savi does have a worker he could play. He has only 3 Mewtwo V-Union pieces. Again, he only hits 300 with that second attack, so he can't knock out a Mew VMAX in one hit. And then there's the other Mewtwo V-Union. So I still think that the safest place to be is behind this Gardevoir. And again, you just hope Nathan doesn't have boss. Yeah, Savi again looking at his discard pile. He's like, man, this is turn 2, right? Yeah, I think Savi was turn 0. So even if he was able to play this one turn faster, the way he drew, he still wasn't able to set up the Mewtwo V-Union. If he had another turn and was able to get that Mewtwo V-Union as like his draw for turn, or before he used that last refinement, he might have actually still been able to win the game. Or actually, no, because he still needs to out the Path to the Peak. He needs to play the worker. And he didn't have enough cards in deck to play the worker. Yeah, no, this was just rough for Savi. So yeah, it's just basically, does he have boss or not? Savi doesn't have anything. He's just taking forever to decide whether or not he just wants to pass. So he does just pass, and the boss is revealed. Nathan has it, and that's the game. So as always, guys, do not forget to comment, like, and subscribe, and all that good stuff up above. Check out the description box down below for links to the Discord and the socials and all that good stuff, and the merch store and everything. And we will see you guys next time.